Hi, and welcome back to Today We Review. First of all, I have to apologize for not uploading any videos within a couple of months. You know, things have been changing life wise and stuff like that. Unfortunately, I didn't have time to create a video, upload it, and edit all of that stuff as well. So I sincerely apologize to everybody who has been waiting for a video. I'm actually a bit upset also that I hadn't had the chance to make a video in quite a while. So I'm hoping that getting back into the rhythm, we'll be able to have the videos uploaded and get back to where we were at as well. So greatly appreciate everybody to continue that's been continuing to watch the videos. I greatly appreciate your time. The comment section, I'm going to be answering them as soon as I can as well. So I just ask a little bit of patience as well, but I greatly appreciate everybody. Thank you so much. So today we want to go ahead and talk about today's product. We're going to be reviewing today the Sony Stereo Walkman 2, and in this case, this one's actually what you would consider WM2 model. I won't show here, but the information here, of course, it's a description, battery supply. It's a 1.5 volt, and of course, made in Japan, double size, AA as well. So we're gonna go ahead and talk about the Sony WM Walkman. Now, before we get into the review itself, I just want to provide you with a quick backstory regarding this one. It's kind of one of those odd stories you hear about, oh, I found it at a garage sale for like pennies on a dollar, and it turns out it's like worth $1,000. Well, this one actually, I ended up buying it at, I guess, like an inside bazaar or something, where they have a lot of stores inside a strip, like a mini mall. The lady that was selling this one actually, she had it on the counter, I'm sorry, and she just had it there, and I asked, what the price was, and she said $5, and the reason she was selling it for $5 is because she couldn't get it to work. Well, I told her, I'll go ahead and buy it, even though if I can't get it to work, it's perfectly fine. It's a really nice novelty, so either way, we'll go ahead and get it. Well, the interesting thing is I ended up getting it to work, and I found out later on that apparently on eBay it sells for a good amount of hundreds. But my thing here isn't necessarily to build it, to buy it. I am gonna be keeping it. I really like the cassette, the device itself, and I think it's just a really nice piece of history to own as well. So you are more than welcome to look on eBay, and I'll provide some links as well where they have this type of device for sale as well. And they're kind of a bit high in price. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to go ahead and start off first with an overview of the product. We're going to discuss a bit of the accessories that come with it, some pros and cons, and provide my final review as well. The actual cassette player is, this version is actually a silver version. They actually did make a red version and I think like a black version as well. It's pretty simple. The layout in the front, of course, you have your volume up on top. You have headphones A and B. And of course, you have your fast forward, rewind, play, and stop. Now, you do notice that the fast forward's this way and the reverse is that way, and that's because of the way that the cassette's actually laid out. So the arrow's going that way, so it's playing towards that way. It's a pretty good size. It's hefty. You open it up by opening this side right here, and the interesting part of this one is that the batteries are actually located in the inside. One key interesting part of this is that the batteries are facing the same way. So in the circuit format, that was actually something that was very intriguing and very nice, and it works the same way. So usually you see, of course, one positive this way and one positive that way, but in this case, both of them are being positive. So that's the uniqueness of it. Aside from this, it does have the option for tape, normal and metal. I'm not too sure and not very familiar into what the difference is for that, but if anybody can let me know. Very nice aesthetic design by having an opening here. Once you put in the cassette, you'll be able to view it there. There's an interesting thing or theory that I think, and that's that once you open it up and put your cassette into it, I have a small collection of cassettes, of course, classical, but I got my Light Force cassette. So you go ahead and pop it in, and of course, once you pop it in, you go ahead and close it. What I think the openings are is more of a handle version. So when you open it, instead of grabbing the cassette from here, the gaps right here, you're able to easily pull it out. So the design itself is very user-friendly in terms of how to extract the cassette player. So we'll go ahead and pop it that. Some of the accessories that come with it, of course, is the belt carrying case. This one you latch it on, you put on the side, and it has a nice rubber little wheel that will actually prevent it from moving around. You can step it to the side, and yes, you could tell the rubber moves, and I apologize for the in and out of the zoom, but it moves, so it's able to hold on to it, and it doesn't actually clamp to it. It just holds it in place. Very nice that it won't slip out. Of course, you're able to hang it on your neck, but it also has a part to either put on your belt buckle. The design, of course, for this is kind of nice. It's simple. It allows you to have all the openings. Now, one of the things that I did find out, or what I'm realizing, is when you're wearing it, let's say, for example, you're looking down towards here, if you're wearing it from the accessories around your neck, is that this design right here, it was purposely made to encounter your fingers. So if I'm listening to it and I want to raise and lower the volume, I go ahead with my thumb. If I want to play, stop, forward and reverse, well, seeing it from this perspective, it's a lot easier to navigate versus having the design elsewhere. So they had a very, very nice, intriguing design when it came to the layout of this. One additional thing that came with the device that I'm seeing so far, alongside the strap and the actual headphones that came with it, was a battery pack, and you'll be able to see the battery pack here. This thing actually was kind of interesting. So you were able to put in batteries, carry it with you, and attach it to the external power input. And I mean, in a sense, you would have power for an unlimited time at that moment. You know, of course, batteries, depending on which ones you had, you drain further or sustained more energy. So you had a pack with you that would at least hold a lot more than what your AA batteries had. So I really want to talk pretty quickly about what I ended up working on here. And I'm not going to go into much detail because I'll be able to provide some links at the bottom. One of the things that I was able to fix or work on this was actually the belt. So it's very common that the belts dry up on anything, you know, from Xboxes to any kind of console. So I followed, you know, some guidelines, and I will provide the guidelines as well. And as you could see, the layout of the actual belt and the way you take it out has a specific steps. But the main thing was following the diagram. I was able to change the main belt that's around here, and as soon as you change that, I mean, it worked out great. I didn't have any kind of other issues. It didn't have any kind of, you know, gear or anything. Now, aside from the belt that I've noticed, that's been a very common thing. You also have the gear, and the gear is basically like the main gear that's in here. It's made out of plastic, so if it chips, you'll notice it where it's plain, but it doesn't move it. Now, it's also very interesting, or very important to note, I'm sorry, that if the belt is not placed correctly in the diagram that I'm showing, you will have the same issue where if you play it, it just turns on but nothing's moving because the belt isn't placed in the right way. So make sure that when you're replacing the belt that you're actually placing it the correct way so you don't have any kind of issues or any kind of technical concerns. This is actually the belt that I ended up purchasing. It's a Deck Tech Sony WM-2 precision drive belt. It was imported. I'll provide the link directly for the eBay link that I purchased from the seller. Now, I'm not promoting anything, you know, this is just the one that I found. And the reason I found for this one was because it indicated that it's not a circular rubber. It's actually more of like a square. So that's technically what the original OEM belt for this one was. It was a square belt, or like a like a square belt instead of round one, and that allows it to grab onto the belt, or the belt covers. All right, so moving on to the pros and cons that I found about this one. There weren't a lot of cons that I actually noticed. The only cons that I could think of was when I was using it, and you know, that's, I guess, my own personal liking. The display or the format of this, I would have actually maybe have liked if the opening, instead of being on this side, would have been right here. That way it's easier to navigate with the controls here instead of having to turn it around. Now, I'm saying this is a very ridiculous thing, but I think it would have probably been a bit user friendly if everything would have been right here. Now, the only other thing that I would mention was when you're viewing it, and it's more of an aesthetic point. You know, this is the front facing part, and of course for the controls, but I would have really enjoyed to have seen something more regarding the back so you could see the cassette, because, you know, as a cassette player, now we are viewing this as a retro thing, so it's nice to see the cassette player play, but I'm assuming back then it was just, you know, the aesthetic was in the front. In regards to the pros, I have a lot of pros. One thing that I noticed, and I'm not sure if maybe it's a defect with this one, but it's really loud. When I plug in my headphones, as soon as I plug them into either A or B, whichever one of them, I could put it to maybe 2, max 3, and it's loud enough. I mean, I don't even want to go even louder because it's gonna be too loud that it's gonna hurt my ears. So that's actually something nice. And like I said, I don't know if maybe that's a defect on this one when I opened it up and kind of cleaned it up a bit. But either way, it's amazing. It's really loud. The other part that I really enjoy is the dual port. So if you ever, want to hang out with a friend and, share your music, you do have A and B. And both A and B provide you with the same kind of volume. So you're not going to have to worry about, one of them being less than the other. The batteries, this is a con and pro, I guess an additional con, but I really enjoy that the batteries are in here. The only downside that I could see from this is if you're playing, cassette and your batteries die out, normally you would be able to have the port outside and you could just take it out. In this case, you would have to take out the case, maybe not necessarily remove it, but, still open it and put the new batteries. So I really enjoy that it's in here. You don't have to worry about any kind of battery door falling off or anything. Normally if the battery did fall out, you would have to put it with a rubber band or some kind of strap to hold it. It's a really solid feel. It doesn't have any kind of weak points. Now it does have a little weak point here, but that's mainly because it's missing a screw, and that's how I purchased it. So at times it sounds a little off, but nothing really bad. Another key note that is nice, and I want to say a lot of other cassettes did have it, but the external power adapter, and of course this in this case played for the battery pack that you would purchase. But also, you could connect it to the wallet as long as it's a 3-volt, and you should be able to have unlimited power too. The button front layout, like I mentioned, that was also a really nice design, having it from the top part. You're able to control everything from viewing it from the top. The other thing that I did like was the carrying case. Now, they do sell these nowadays with and without the carrying case. I was just fortunate enough to have the case with the device when I purchased it. There's a lot of times where they sell it through eBay, and of course it's only the actual cassette player. Now, one of the things that I would have loved to see in this model, because that's a model I have, but I know they made other models with FM radio. I would have just really enjoyed to have FM radio in this one, so it would have been a dual purpose. But later models of the Walkman did have FM radio. One thing to keep in mind is the more moving parts, the more issues you might encounter. So I am glad that in this circumstance, this particular cassette player only has cassette players, because if I were to have fixed something else, and of course there would have been more wires and more issues inside that I would have had to look into. But aside from that, that's mainly it for Cons and Pros. My final thoughts and reviews: this is an amazing cassette player. I don't have any issues with it. It plays really well. Just keep in mind to provide some maintenance for it. Go ahead and clean the header with a bit of alcohol. Make sure it's a high volume, that way it evaporates quick. Clean a bit of the gears itself. Don't put anything on the rubber, that way it doesn't have any issues. Now, there are videos that indicate you could put a little bit of silicone spray or something to make sure that the gears work well. You're more than welcome to do that. Just it's at your own risk in a sense, just in case that's not the appropriate method. But it's a really great case, cassette player. I've loved it since the moment I was able to work on it. I actually purchased this back in March. I bought the band in April, and I just maybe about 3 weeks ago finally had time to fix it. So that's one of the reasons that I was like, you know what, this needs to be one of the first videos on the comeback. So that's hopefully my most educational review I've had right now in a bit. I really greatly appreciate everybody. I hope that this video helps you in some form. I am going to be providing the links as well for the diagram, the videos as well, how to fix the gear and the rubber band as well. If you have any questions or concerns, you're more than welcome to reach out. I will be, like I mentioned, commenting all the comments as soon as I can. And if you have any further questions or anything, or recommendations, go ahead and put them at the bottom. Hopefully we'll be able to get all these videos up and running. I have a huge list of things that I want to share with you all. Some stuff I found recently while cleaning the garage, and some other things as well. So hopefully, we'll be able to upload. I'll be able to upload some videos. But in the meantime, I wish you all lots of love and kisses, and I hope everyone's doing well. And we'll see you next time. Take care.